Okay guys, Tom McGrath here. Today we're going to work on our Saber grind. You'll find this on a lot of survival knives and non-hollow ground factory knives. It's a good basic grind. What you see, let me show you the difference between this and a Scandi. Where the Scandi had a single bevel, you can see here, that goes from the thickness of the blade stock straight down to the cutting edge. You have two bevels on the Saber grind. A primary, which is that, I don't know how well you can see it on this, but it goes from here to here is flat stock on this Becker BK2, and then there's a wide portion of the bevel that where the actual grind is made. That's this blue section here. And then the actual cutting edge on a knife like this, if you see that little thin 1/16 inch silver strip right on the end, right on the cutting edge, that's your secondary bevel. That's what you're going to sharpen. So, a little different than the Scandi grind, you have to find that edge. So, what I have people do in my classes, since in Philippine martial arts we deal with blades, I have done classes on knife sharpening. You want to learn how to get the bevel. You can't simply go to the flat and go to the primary bevel like you do on the Scandi. You got to roll it up till you get that secondary edge, and because that's or secondary bevel, and because that's so small compared to the Scandi, people a lot of times have trouble maintaining it. So what you want to do is kind of train your hand how to maintain that edge or that angle. And what I have them do is start off with a circular grind. So what we're doing here, instead of taking it all the way across the bevel, we're just making a circle, repetitive circle. And what this is multiple repetitions at an angle to kind of work it into your nervous system. And go over on the other side and see, okay, how did I do? Okay, the part that's not sharpened is a dull gray. I'm getting more of a silvery gray where I sharpen it and I can see, I've got it almost to the edge, but I can look in there and see, kind of looks like this. I see a line of silver and then a little bit of section right on the end, which is a dull gray. So what I'm going to do is bring that all the way down. So change my angle a bit. And how'd that do? Okay, that's sharp right to the, or at least polished with the coarse stone, right across the whole width of the cutting edge at 1/16, nice and consistent. Okay, bring it up a little higher. Now I'm doing two things with this motion. One is I'm training my nervous system to maintain that angle. The other thing is, even if you're well versed in sharpening and can keep a consistent angle from your first go on the stone, if you have a knife that's very dull, especially on knives with a lower temper like a machete that do get nicks in them, doing this type of method, that circle method, will take off a lot of metal quickly and allow you to get your bevel angle set up well. So, okay, looks good. You kind of have to do a little bit of a time on the tip because it's a curve. Let's roll it this way. Okay, a little more up here. Okay, once you've trained your hand to do that, and we'll say this time, second time I did it on the other side, you want to go ahead and do your regular sharpening motion over across to harmonize the edge. So another reason you want to finish with this on the coarse stone is because when you're going forward, you're sharpening the edge nicely. But on that back stroke of that circular motion, the abrasive or the grit of the stone is actually pulling pieces away of the cutting edge, and you won't really get a good refined edge moving backwards against the stone. So it's only good when you want to take off a lot of metal. When you're trying to refine the edge and get a consistent edge, you want to just go forward on the stone. So I've gone from wanting to take off a lot of metal and learning how to maintain my angle to refining that edge and getting it consistent. Okay, so then we come over and do the thumbnail test. Make sure it bites the thumbnail all the way along. And right about there needs some work, but I'll do that later because I don't have so much time on YouTube. Okay, now when you go over to the medium stone, simply do your full strokes. Do 5 or 10 on one side, especially the beginner. You don't want to flip it back and forth as a beginner because you're trying to train yourself to maintain that angle. And it's easier to do that if you maintain a certain number of reps on each side. After a while, you develop a good feel for this, and you won't have to do that many on each side. I started learning how to sharpen knives in the Boy Scouts at 12 years old, and within a couple of months I could take a knife and get it, shaving sharp. We used to, try it on the back of our arm here, and all the kids were doing it. It's not a difficult chore. It's not rocket science. You can do this. So we test. Yeah, it's biting. Good. Okay. If it's not biting, go back and work on it. And don't be afraid when you go to medium stone and you feel a rough spot, it's not working, to go back to the coarse and reprofile that edge, get it a little better in that one spot if you need to. So anyway, we've gone from coarse to medium. Now go to fine, throw a little simple green on there. I mentioned this in a previous video, but instead of using low viscosity thin oil, a knife maker turned me on to this simple green from Walmart. It's a lot cheaper. This was $2 as opposed to a $4 bottle of oil, and it works really good. So take that nice consistent edge, nice consistent angle. What I'm doing now is polishing out scratches. I'm really not trying to change the angle of the bevel. It's starting to sound. Sometimes you transfer some coarser stone onto the finer stone and you'll hear a change of sound. You want to go ahead and just wash your stone off and then throw more oil down there. You don't want to introduce new coarse scratches to that nice cutting edge you've been developing. And you may want to do on this is after you do, say 5 on one side, 5 on the other, do 3 on one side, 3 on the other, to get down to 1 and 1, just to try to even up that fine wire edge that's on the end there. You're trying to take the burr off as much as you can. Now, for a knife that's going to be used for slicing, like I say, a mid-sized survival knife, I'm not going to do too much stropping. I actually want a little bit of a rough edge there. You're going from let's say a coarse edge like that with your coarse stone, and you're taking off those scratches with the medium stone. By the time you get to the fine stone, you want something like that. There's still, if you look under electron microscope, and go to Google and enter in blade burr electron microscope, and you can actually see pictures of this. But what you're going to see is a cutting edge with little wire burrs on there, and you want to knock those off. But you do want your cutting edge on a knife that's used for slicing a little bit of a little mini sawtooth there, as opposed to, say, a Scandi grinder or an axe, which you want zero friction as you're push cutting into the blade, into the material. So if you're going to strop with this, just a few strokes to clean off the wire edge. Don't go crazy with it. That's good. You just want a couple to take off that wire. Okay, how's that? Biting all the way through? Yep. Okay, that looks good. That's sharpening your Saber grind. Thank you.